This is an interesting video because we are going to deal up with the middlewares or middleware rather, not middlewares, middleware in the Clerk.js. So the point I want to make here is that sometimes there is a product and there is a recommended guided way by the product itself that, hey, use our product this way. And sometimes there is a way how you want to use your product or their product. And this is exactly we are going to discuss that how there can be some challenging situations, some deprecations in the libraries as well that you face and focus. And sometimes you even read the deprecated libraries to achieve the task that you really want to achieve. So this is exactly that video. We're going to talk about middleware. We are going to see some of the deprecation warning, but it's not like it's totally out here and Clerk still support those deprecated functions and methods. But again, we have to figure out these strategies. It's a very common thing that you do in the corporate world. So let me show you that how to read the deprecated functions and figure out a way how and what we really want to achieve with that. It's a really interesting case study and scenario on the middleware. So let me walk you through. So we studied the Clerk documentation on the Next.js, how to quickly get started. And so far the goal is pretty simple, that we install the Clerk just like this, set up our environment variable, big fan of this by the way, and then we set up the middleware. This is the most important part. So middleware is something which is special already in the Next.js. And what it asks you to do that, hey, every single route, I can run this file, and where this file actually runs, this is the matcher which tells you that, hey, on every single the route where it matches, go ahead and run this file there, middleware. So it runs in between. So whenever you hit that route, in between this file executes, and whatever the code you ask it to execute, it executes there. In this, we see that there is a default middleware which is injected known as Clerk. So this protects every single route. So you cannot access anything at all. Your application is totally locked. But sometimes you have to mention that, hey, I want to expose certain public routes for that. So for this, you obviously go ahead and study more about the middlewares. You come here at the bottom that, hey, how can I use the Clerk middleware? And they actually mention this that, hey, if you want to protect all routes or you want to create some of the route matchers, you can just go ahead and do all of this. So notice here, this is protected route, and then you can send that, hey, these are my protected routes. So if these are protected, go ahead and protect them. So again, you can mention that, hey, my dashboard is protected, my forum is protected, rest all are okay. You don't need to protect all of them. This is one of the easiest way to work with that. But we are not here for the easy task. We are here for the tough task to do so. So this is the straightforward approach, and you can read more about it. You can even grab the user as well. So Clerk actually provides you this Clerk middlewares, and you can actually grab this auth here as well, which has redirected. So all the information about user you can also get. Now here's the interesting thing. You have this auth object, which has the session ID, user ID, and all of that, and the org ID as well. But our use case is very, very different. Our use case says that we will have a user, we will have an admin. Now, the way how Clerk works is via the organization route. So Clerk allows that, hey, a user can be from different organization, and based on their organization, you can provide them different assets or different functionality. Our use case is a little different. We want to have a regular user and admin user. And the easiest way to achieve this in the Clerk, and a lot of people does that, is you can simply click on any of the user. You want to transform this user or add additional property to this user, just scroll down and you're going to see this user metadata. So user can have more information like private information, unsafe information, or can have public information as well. All you got to do is just click up here. It's a key value pair. You just go ahead and add a role of admin. That's it. And now based on testing this public information that, hey, this is a public information, so this will be available and can be read from backend or frontend. Based on this, you can check it and serve different things. Now, if you want to check it just on the backend, of course, we do have a private which can be retrieved only from the backend. So if you want that my middleware should run here, just go ahead and change this as role as admin. Depends on how you want to do it. It's totally doable. But the problem is that if I go ahead and read all of this, the way how we do it is just via this one method, which says Clerk middleware. This is how you have to actually do this. And there are some interesting things about it. So notice here, if I go ahead and get back and show you that how I can go into this one here. So scroll a little bit and you're going to see deprecated as auth middleware. I hope you can see that. So what this does, and they say that, hey, now you have to actually use this Clerk middleware. So I'll open this up. This is the one which is recommended, and you have to do all the things from here, create route matchers and all these things. And if you want to grab any of the user information, that needs to come from their organization ID. This is where they are promoting up. So if you want to grab auth as protected and all of this, you're going to see this part here. So org sys membership manage, but we are not managing membership. We are just managing from the metadata. And the problem is that how do I grab it? How do I grab this? And how do I write my own custom logic? So, okay, so my middleware has caught everything. Now I want something to happen in the auth middleware after the auth has happened. So it's not like I'm not protecting altogether. I want some things to happen that, okay, authentication is all done. After when the authentication is done, I want to grab some information about the user from their public route and then want to decide that whether I'm going to go ahead and make that user as an admin or I'm going to serve them as a user. Based on that, I want to reroute them into /admin or /dashboard. Now for this, you have to read the auth middleware because this is still the way how you do it, although they have marked this as deprecated, and surely they will be opening up more of the documentation in the future that how to do these or special kind of these scenarios, or do they even recommend this or not. But again, it's not always about recommendation or not. This is my problem. I want to solve it with my way. So we're going to use this auth middleware, and what it allows you, if you scroll this, that hey, this is the default behavior, how it works, but there is a method that you can work with says after auth, which is present in the auth middleware. And if it is not, it will just go back into a fall back to a default behavior. But there is a method after auth that you can use. And there's an example for that as well. That if you have this auth after auth, so somewhere here, there we go. So notice here it says there is a method known as after auth, which has auth, request, and an event as well. And you can use it for a lot of things to find out user ID, the org ID, or a lot of things, which we are also going to work with that. So we'll be using this approach because this approach makes sense for us as of now. Obviously, as you will be designing more of these applications, maybe this doesn't make a sense for you. Maybe this makes sense for you. You want to go with this route. Again, we need to learn all the aspect and figure out a way that how we want to achieve the things, how we want to do the things. So if you're writing these middleware for the first time in the Next.js, be cautious. They can catch you off guard at any point in time. So again, don't worry if you're going to see a couple of the deprecated warnings and all of that. It's totally okay. It's totally normal. So notice here we have this Clerk middleware. We are not going to be using the Clerk middleware as of now. We want to use the auth middleware, and that's an interesting one. And let's just go ahead and do this. So let's just go ahead and bring the auth middleware. Notice there is a scratch line. It says, hey, it's deprecated and it's not going to work, but it works. In our case, at least it works. And again, we have to figure out the strategies and stuff like that. We will also need the client here as well. So we'll just say Clerk client, comma, of course, Clerk client. So Clerk client will help us to grab the information, and the auth middleware, instead of the Clerk middleware, we'll be using the auth middleware. Again, don't worry, don't get anxious about, hey, we are seeing these scratched lines. These are just editor lines. This has nothing to do. And again, it supports really well. And as soon as it's working on your local, you test it out on production or testing staging environment, it works. It's not like they're removing some code out of your projects. They're saying that in the future, we might deprecate it. As of now, it's working fine. The first thing that we do on all of this is define our public routes. So public routes. These are the routes that I want that anybody can access, and this is just a simple array that you work with that. So I want that anybody should be able to access the home page, which I'll keep it out of the authentication. And also one more route that we will be looking forward is /API/webhook/register. All right, we haven't worked on the register part yet. We will be doing that very soon, but let's finish this one here. So this one should be open up, and of course we want that anybody to sign in. So that's going to be one. So I guess we made it as sign dash in. Yep, sign up, sign in. So we'll say sign up just like this, and we'll be having a sign in as well. If you have more of these public routes, go ahead and provide these public routes and work with that. The way how existing auth middleware works is inside this method, which is this one, you can go ahead and provide an object just like this. The first parameter that it expects that you will be providing me the public routes. So these are all the public routes. And after that, it expects that you will be running a method that, hey, what happens after this route? So notice here how easy it is to work with that. Even if you don't do anything, just define your public route and that's it. This will make sure that these are publicly available and that's it. I don't do anything. So if the method we studied there, that if the method after auth is not, it will do its default fallback. how easy it is to customize these routes as well. And it's equally customizable, and same for the Clerk middleware as well. The approach is exactly same. So protect all route. And if you look at the protect route based on authentication, you're going to see that, hey, these are protected route. I'm pretty sure there are public route examples as well. So there is public routes. Notice here, you can go ahead and use create route matcher instead of regularly, and we can just provide this. Hey, these are my public routes. Just go ahead and work with that. Really nice, interesting way to study the documentation. Now let me show you how it works in our scenario. So we're going to go ahead and say we need an async function, and this async function is going to be after auth. This is how the method actually looks like. Now this method takes a couple of parameters to work with that. First is auth, and the second one is request. So request actually will give you all the parameters, URLs basically that you're looking up for, and we can work with that. If you want it to be more precise, you can just go ahead and say, hey, I want to bring in next request from the next server, and you can mark it explicitly that, hey, this is going to be of that type and all of that. So that's the basic of it. All right, so async, we don't need a function just like that, because it's not like you are defining a function. The function is already defined in the routes. You just need to overwrite it. I would say not overwrite, but yeah, you get the idea how we want to work with this. All right, so the first thing that we want to do is handle the unauthenticated users who are trying to access the protected route. So let me write that. So handle unauth users trying to access protected route. This is the basic 101 that how you want. And by the way, once you have defined the after auth, that means you want to handle it. So that's why we are writing all of this logic. So let's just go ahead and check this. If there is no auth and no user ID, so you can check for if there is no auth or if there is no user inside that. And we need to check for one more thing. So we'll just go ahead and check if there is no public routes dot include. It's a classic array, so you can just go ahead and includes. Now what to check? What am I checking for the inclusion? Of course, the public route is mentioned at the top, but what I'm looking up forward for check is going to come from this request. This request gives you an option of next URL, and from that you can extract the path name. This will be path name like localhost slash API, whatever you have mentioned here, like slash API or slash sign up, sign in. So whatever that path is. If these are not included, that means you're not authenticated, you're trying to reach somewhere where you should not be. So I'll just go ahead and return a next response to you. Next response gives me a redirect, and basically what we do is redirect the user. Told you, it's not really that bad. And this is how we work. I'll just import the URL where you want to send the user. I want to send it to sign-in to this route, and you have to provide one more part, which is the base URL. So I don't want to redirect him to slash sign in. I want to have a full path, whether it's a localhost or whether it's a full path of whatever the URL or the website you have in this request.url. So that's it. Told you, it's super simple. So this part is all handled. But now let's just say we want to handle the part based on user is authenticated, but is he admin? Is he not admin? What kind of things we can work with that? So for this, I can just go ahead and simply write a simple if statement that user is authenticated and has a user ID. This is all happening now for that. Okay, so first of all, let's grab some of the information, fetch some of the information from the user itself. This is where you again go back and learn more about the documentation. And yes, you got the hint, the Clerk client will be able to help you on that. It's not running on the client side as such. The name is the Clerk client only. So this helps you to grab information. So if I go ahead and say, hey, Clerk client, you have a lot of options. One that I'm interested in the users, and users can get a lot of information. You can do the ban some user, delete, the lot of routings that can be done. What I'm interested in is, let's just say I want to get user. This get user gives you all information that you are looking up for. So whole, including the, let me show you that. Whole thing that you are looking up for. So this personal information, first name, last name, permissions, these, everything, this whole page will be dumped in front of you. And I highly recommend to you go ahead and check out like what information I'm getting here. And after that, I'll just say auth dot user ID. Yeah, this is a strange way where you pass on that, hey, this is the user I want to grab. Okay, let's store this. So this is your big information about the page and the user. And don't forget one thing, this information takes some time, so you might want to await this one here. Yeah, this is a classic gotcha, so make sure you fetch all this. Now from this, let's grab the role of the user. So how we can grab this? You have this user. As soon as you put up dot, you know this all thing, backup code enabled or create organization. And by the way, if you want to follow the path, you can create an organization for each user, which I don't think so is a good idea, but it can be done. So in this one, I want to grab some of the public information. So there's a public meta information, there is a private meta information, all the things that you want to access. I want to access the public meta data. And inside that, if I put up a dot, public metadata, I can go ahead and access the role here. Now this is going to come up as a string or may come up as undefined. All right, and now we can just go ahead and store this as a role. This took us some time to actually figure out the way how we actually want to work with that. But once this is all done, now I have an access to this role, which is a classic string. So since I am passing this data role as admin, so that's why I'm extracting this role. And that is why you see no suggestion there, because hey, this is your property, whatever you are injecting here. So once you know this, just go ahead and mention that. And I want to check for the admin itself. That's all I have to do now. So let's go ahead and work on for admin role redirection. And let's check this. Pretty simple. If the role is equals to admin and somebody's trying to access the dashboard, so he should not be going to the dashboard, rather he should be going to the admin dashboard. So let's go ahead and verify the path as well. This is all you'll be doing again and again. Check the role, check the path, check the role, check the path. It's very repeatable information. So inside that we will have a path name. And if the path name is trying to go to /dashboard, he's an admin. He should not be in the dashboard area. He should be rather in the admin dashboard. But again, it's up to you how you want to manage all these things. So we'll just say return and next response goes ahead and gives you a redirect. And redirect, you can just simply say new URL. And inside that, I'll say, hey, you go to admin, lowercase admin, /dashboard. We'll be creating a dashboard for the user. We don't have it yet. And again, append the URL with request.url. So we'll be copy pasting this information quite a number of times. But you get the idea that how this is done, this is being used. So really nice way to work with this. I hope you got the idea of it. Now let's also say that prevent non-admin user to access the admin routes. So let's work with that. Another case could be that prevent non-admin user to access the admin resource or admin routes. So for this, let's just say we want to check for this again. If the role is not equals to admin and he's trying to access some of the resource, and we can actually copy this and paste this. All we have to do is look for that. Hey, this time actually I think I would not like to go with this one because I want to hide all the resources behind /admin. So in that, I would love to just directly access the path name. And if the path name actually starts with admin, so just go ahead and say, oops, starts with, and I'll just say /admin. So if your role is not admin and you're trying to access any path which starts with admin, you should not be here. You should be somewhere else. So let's go ahead and, oops, we don't have the curly braces yet. So there we go. In that case, I'll just redirect you to the dashboard which is your perfect location. So there we go. We have protected admin routes with just 2 lines of code, hardly. And let's also handle one more case where we are going to say, redirect auth users trying to access public routes. Like, why should you be accessing a sign up page or sign in page? And there we go. So again, now that you know, I can just go ahead and say, hey, this is going to be all copied. Let's go ahead and paste it up here. And there we go. So we have copied and pasted. Now we are checking that, hey, if all of this we have checked for admin. For the non-admin users, we don't need to check for the routes and all of that. We'll just check for the public route. You should not be anywhere in the public routes. That's it, because you are authenticated. Remember, we are in the conditional block where auth.userid exists. So I can just go ahead and say, hey, I have this public routes, and I would just check for includes, and I'll mention my include. So request dot next URL, and I'll say give me the path name. There we go. If that is included, then based on the role I have to redirect you. I cannot redirect you just on dashboard. I need to redirect you. So next response, redirect. Let's actually cut this out, and then let's actually see that how we can actually redirect. So I'll open this up. Now I want to check whether based on the role I will be redirecting you. So again, paste this up, new URL. I don't want to redirect you onto the dashboard directly, rather based on the role it should happen. So new role, I'll just remove this one, hit an enter. And now if the role is admin, in that case, I'll redirect you to /admin/dashboard. And if that's not the case, I'll redirect you to /dashboard. So this is our first parameter we have worked on. Remember, we were previously giving just the dashboard. Now we are doing a conditional check here based on that. So this is this part. This whole thing is this part. And then we have separated by comma the second parameter, which is request.url. I hope the entering of the line makes it much clearer. So this is nice that we have worked on. So really cool way of working with the things. All right, so now what I want to do further is that all the thing that we are doing here, all this extraction of user might fail actually. So let's wrap this up inside a try catch. I think that would be a great strategy. So let's just say we are inside it. Just select all of this, select till here, and no need to write anything. Don't delete it, just write try catch. As soon as you do this, automatically everything goes into the try block, and you come into the catch block, and now you handle just the error part of it. So let's just say we want to console.error, and we'll be just saying, hey, let's just dump the error. And let's also redirect it. So return next response dot redirect, and wherever you want to redirect, let's write new URL. And then we say that, hey, we will have a custom error page hopefully someday, and append the request.url. All right, rest of things is pretty common. So this is a matcher which decides that this file, this middleware, will run on how many of the routes. So you can go ahead and write your customized routes as well, that, hey, run this file. So this matcher, the whole idea behind having a matcher is run this file on every place. And again, you are seeing a lot of deprecated warnings and all of that. That's because I have no other way of getting this user as of now. But as the documentation will mature, as things will go, you'll figure out that, hey, now all these options are there in the latest one, which is the Clerk Middleware. Again, this is something that happens and is so common that nobody can make an all-time updated tutorial. But I'm trying my best to show you that, hey, this is our goal. We are achieving that goal by reading the docs, and just this is basic logic. This has nothing to do with the Clerk. This is our classic Next.js 101. But as I go and find out a way, if I want to do this next time, I have my objectives very clear. The first objective is that I want to have my public routes being separated. Okay, got it. Now after that, my goal is to find out the user ID and how can I extract this information of this guy here. So I want to access this public metadata. This is my hunting ground now in the documentation. So hunt in that through the middleware, that how can I find it. Once you find it, then just go ahead and look for the logic that, hey, how can I go ahead and find out that I want to do something that happens after the authentication. If you find any problem, go into the Discord, discuss with the team so that they can tell you the best strategies to work with that. This is what I say, that working closely with the products team. Again, there is no one silver bullet for everything, but it works really nice there. All right, so this is all done, and it definitely took us some time to figure out this way as well, because we were also like, hey, we should not be showing this deprecated ones, but then we realized that, hey, this one is not yet cooked. It's almost there, but I will also be discussing more about with the team, and we'll be updating the tutorials. Probably we'll have some live session with the team itself that, hey, how can we do this much better way? What could be the best approach for this one? All right. So this is the basic part of it. Now, since we are already here, let's go ahead and work on with the sign in page as well, because that's most easiest thing that you can do. So I'll just remove everything and let's design one more page. I'll right click and we'll have a new folder, which is going to be sign-in. And inside that, just like we previously designed the page.tsx, let's go ahead and design a simple page.tsx. RFCE. There we go. And we're going to call this one as sign in. There we go. Okay, we can actually go ahead and borrow a whole lot of things from the previous one, the previous page, sign up page, at least a whole lot of this information. And let's just copy this and paste it up in the sign in. We'll figure out later on whatever we need and whatever we don't need. We'll figure out that. Now, the most important for this particular role is previously we worked quite a lot with the use sign up. Now we want to use the use sign in, obvious reasons. Use sign in. So sign in will help us to grab every information that we probably want to have, and sign in is actually rather much more easier as compared to others. And again, basic information will remain same as it is. So for example, I don't want to do anything like here. Hey, this one, actually we need router as well. So just copy this, grab this information and say, hey, once this is all done inside the sign in, and we should actually keep it up here, and we'll just say, so is loaded is not here, then obviously we'll need to bring this up. So, all right, my bad, this should not be here. There we go. We don't have this is loaded here. Do we have suggestions that actually can bring it? No, it doesn't have. Anyways, we can write that or can borrow this here. So go ahead, copy this, paste it up. Now that we have already discussed, so it doesn't really matter. And select all of this, move it up here. There we go. And this time we have use sign in. We definitely don't need sign up and all of this. We just need is loaded. So at least the basic functionality is done. All right. So if there is not loaded, we just want to say return null, don't do anything. Now the most important part is before we return anything is we want to define a method, which is submit. We already know that. So async function, and we're going to call this one as submit, which will have the parameters just like this. We'll have an event, which will be of type React form events. Prevent default, that is obvious. There we go. Now once this is all done, again the safety measures are exactly same. So whatever we have done in the sign up, yep, that's why I say once you learn and understand things, it's very repeatable information. And again, since we'll be sending some information to a clerk, getting some information, async is all good, but things might fail. So try catch is always a good option to work with. And only thing we have to worry about is let's just use this sign in. So again, we didn't brought in sign in. Yep. Yeah, this is the one. So once we have this, so go ahead and use sign in, and inside that we have so many options to work on with. So this is the sign in that we are working on, and inside the sign in, all we have to do is create. Now this create again is not like sign up creates a user, but this is actually for creation of the part. And again, in order to have, like, let me just walk you through it. It's much easier to actually show you the docs rather than, so this is use sign in. So use sign in, it has is loaded, set active, and the sign in object. And if you look at the sign in object, what they mention here is initiate the sign in process by collecting the user authentication information and pass the appropriate parameters to the create method. So yes, that's exactly what we are doing, is we are going through with the create method and saying, hey, just create this one. Once I go ahead and create this, this is a promise, obviously. Then you have to define that what is the strategy that you are going for. Is it a password, link, email, code? There's a lot of things can work with that. Much easier is, let me show you. So this is how you go ahead and you first provide that, hey, how we are going to sign in. So for the identifier, I'll say that, hey, go ahead and use an email address. We don't have an email address yet. We didn't create a state for that. My bad. We are running this, so don't worry. So we'll have a state where we'll be storing our email address. So let's just say email address, set email address, and that will be given to us by use state. By default, it will be empty. So you know now how to store this one. And now we can say simply go ahead and use email address. There we go. So this is the one part of it, but hey, this is not going to work like this. Then this is the identifier as email address, and we'll also be sending you password. And again, I'll be creating the password, don't you worry. And again, identifier, because this is our sign in page. So we have just two things, email and password. There we go. So we have two of these things which are being given to us that, hey, just go ahead and work with that. Now again, just like you have seen, you can just click on this, like command click or control click, and see a little bit scroller that, hey, there's just so many things that it gives you. Needs identifier, needs first factor, needs second factor, needs new password, or is it complete? This is the one that we are looking up for. So I will just copy this and will verify in my response that, hey, what's happening? How do you get this? Let's store the result into a result variable. Feel free to call it whatever you like. And once this is all done, now let's just check for it. It's just an if and else case. So if the result dot status, of course. And by the way, you're worrying about why the status comes up. Notice here, this is the sign in status. If you'll read this, this gives you a callback, and through the callback, you return these types of data. So if the result dot status is equals to complete, that means, hey, it's all good. I just need to sign you up and redirect you to wherever I want to. I'll just say await, and then I can use a set active method. And again, we need to bring it up, by the way, in case you missed it up. So sign in. So the properties, the status are given here, so you can read about the status here, support identifiers and all of this. So there's one thing which is set active. So this is one here. So once the process is completed, use the set active method to actually set the sessions or organization, or there's a lot of things that goes. But the whole idea is you bring this up from here somewhere. There we go. Set active. And once we have the set active, we can just go ahead and say, hey, set active. What kind of a strategy you would like to follow to create this session as active? So I'll just go ahead and say I'll be using session. And from the result, just go ahead and create a session ID. There we go. And that's it. That is all it takes to just work with that. We don't need to store this result into any variable. So why to? Let's just go ahead and say router.push and push the user to wherever you like. In my case, I'll redirect him to dashboard. That makes sense. Now, if that is not the case, then obviously we would like to just handle the errors just by saying else, and let's just say console.log or error, whatever works for you, json.stringify, and I'll stringify the result, and I'll just say, there we go, basics all done. Now in the error part as well, the same stuff that we worked in the past as well. This error could be of type any, and we'll be saying console, this time not log, but let's just go with the error. And inside that, you know this already, we'll be just saying that, hey, the error that's coming up is, and we'll say error dot errors and after that the first element, which is the active error, and then we simply go ahead and say message. And we can actually go ahead and create another error. We will need it. We could have got it from there as well, but again, no big deal. We can just go ahead and say this is my error. This will be set error. And now since I have a state, I can display that variable message nicely. So let's just say set error. And inside that, we'll be saying that error dot errors, the first element, which is the active error. And then we can just go ahead and grab a message out of it. There we go. Again, this comes by reading a lot of docs and all of that. So this is the whole logic part of it. That is it. Now let me just go ahead and grab the UI part of it. All right, so this is the basics, really basic card that we have designed. There's nothing much. It just says sign into the to-do. We have a simple form that submits, and as soon as it submits, we handle that. We have just two fields. This is the input field for the email address, nothing fancy. This is the input field for the password, nothing fancy again. And then we simply go ahead and this is just fancy stuff to show the password, really basic. And after that, we have this sign in button that works. So really basic, but you learned so much about dealing with the middlewares, dealing with so much of the information. So this video was definitely jam-packed, but I highly recommend the activity that I want to do with you here is go ahead and learn to read the docs, because Clerk is not the one. You will be dealing up with so many of these third-party applications. And what makes me super happy that the Clerk is actually active on the Discord. So if you're using it in production, you want some consultancy or anything, it's all free. It's all on the Discord, at least up to basic level. And there are like-minded people there as well, which works with you and can help you to decide that, okay, this is your special use case scenario. This is how you should be doing, or this is the one hack that I came up with. All right, so quite a lot of fun information about the middleware and whole in depth about it, as well as sign in. That's it for this video. Let's catch up in the next one.